Good morning, my fellow Michiganders. Good morning, my fellow Americans. Welcome to the Grassroots Army podcast. I am, of course, your host, Garrett Soldano. And again, I got some great footage for all of you here today, not only with James Comey putting out alerts to all of the United States saying if you vote for President Trump, he will hold these three-letter word agencies accountable. They're worried. They're worried. This is the same FBI, by the way, that when they raided Mar-a-Lago, were given the orders to use deadly force if necessary. Wow. Okay, so we're going to share that video. We're going to share a gentleman out of, I'm going to say this hopefully correctly, Aransas Pass, Texas, where he has been fighting for his rights for months. I've been following Jason Followell, so I'm going to let you guys see the latest city council meeting. This guy has been fighting nonstop. And the reason I want to share this is to really inspire all of you. Hey, if you're getting, your local government's taking advantage of you, because I've seen and had conversation with many, many people, you have to fight it. You just don't sit back and take it. I don't care if it's your city council. I don't care if it's your school board. I don't care if it's your state government, your federal government. Folks, you have to fight. You do not have to follow aimlessly and blindly when they tell you that you need to do this or they're violating your rights, because a lot of these agencies, a lot of these city councils, a lot of these commissions, state government, they're very draconian. So when ordinary people don't do extraordinary things, then these people continue to take away your rights, and they slowly do it over time. It's like the frog in the boiling water metaphor, right? If you have boiling water and you throw a frog in there, he's going to jump out. But if you have cold water, you throw a frog in there and you slowly heat up the water, he'll sit in there and he'll boil alive. All right. That's the same thing with us. You have to stand up for your rights. If there's something wrong, you have to stand up. And I know it's scary and I know it's going to cost your pocketbook, but at least you stood up and fought back. So I'm going to show a meeting that he did. I'm also going to show you a video, and I apologize for the language in the beginning. This guy's very passionate. Okay. But this is the liberals' worst nightmare right now. This Marxist movement that's trying to spread throughout our country. More and more folks are standing up. More and more Black Americans are standing up against Biden and their administration, the Bidenomics, and how they're just funneling these illegal immigrants and kicking people out of their centers and stuff and putting illegal immigrants in there. So it goes on and on. So I'm going to show a clip of what he has to say about it. Obviously, I'm going to start off here in a few minutes with James Comey and what he said. So let's get right to the hot garbage, as we say, and let's analyze some things today. So here we go.
Donald Trump is reelected. I mean, when you think about a second Trump administration, what do you think the implications would be for the FBI?
Oh, serious, for the Justice Department and the FBI, because Trump is coming for those institutions. He knows their power, and I think he has regrets that he didn't work hard enough to corrupt them last time. So he's coming for them, and that's a danger for all Americans. He's going to put people in positions in those organizations. He didn't have all-stars the last time. He'll have the bottom of the barrel this time, but people who will want to do his will, and that should worry every American. This election matters. Because of a reason like that, people have to participate. You cannot sit on the sideline.
Wow. So let's break that down. We have to work hard. Well, he worked hard enough, President Trump, to corrupt last time, right? You can see that these folks who were in power, that are currently in power, are empowering the FBI to go to Mar-a-Lago and use deadly force if necessary, right? They are shaking in their boots. Why? Because yes, he is exactly spot on, is he's going to go in and he is going to clean house. And I think the majority of Americans, that's exactly what we want to have happen. It has gotten so corrupt, so nasty, so draconian, and they have infiltrated every single level of our lives. And the American people are fed up. We're done. We're done. So Jimmy Comey, yeah, he's coming for the FBI. He's coming for a lot of these three-letter agencies, and he's probably coming for you, because this is the same gentleman who refused to testify on why he didn't prosecute Hillary Clinton and her emails. Remember that? So that is why normal Americans, we have to continue to stand up for our rights, continue to push back against these so-called corrupt politicians and these people in power that have ruined and continue to ruin people's lives. And so, yeah, be afraid. Be very afraid. So let's move on to my next gentleman, Jason Followell. He is my personal hero. Been watching this guy for months stand up to the city council, stand up to the sheriff or the police officer there that has the power. And it's been an interesting road for this guy. And this guy refuses to give up, man. They have filed numerous lawsuits against this guy, and he's won every single one of them in court. So let's listen into the last city council in Aransas Pass, Texas. The city council. Here we go.
Jason Followell. Okay, guys. I would love not to utilize my First Amendment right and calling you people out on your bullshit and being pieces of shit, but every time I come up here, you have your illegal decorum and you talk like you have rights over that, and you don't have rights over our constitutional rights. Please stop writing it so I don't have to come up here and say, piece of shit. I would love to not do that anymore. Thank you. We can be civil if y'all would give us our rights back. Ramp, I know a lot of people have talked to you about me and what's going on, and since the beginning I only wanted an apology. It's too late for that. What I want right now is for Gary Edwards to be fired. You get rid of Gary Edwards and you don't have to see me up here anymore. With that said, if he's fired, we can bring in somebody that's moral and ethical and does the right thing, and that person can do an audit on everybody else and get rid of all the tyrants and the criminals that are in our organization. Speaking what is doing right, David Flores, me and you had a conversation about a month ago, and I informed you that I knew of some racist BS that took place at a city worker. This city worker was fired and the supervisor was not. His supervisor, David, used racial slurs and told him to climb his monkey ass up a ladder, along with some racial dogma that was chalked on the sidewalks. Gary Edwards knew about this too. Nothing was done. In reality, to all the humans out there, color was and is utilized to segregate us. We're all humans. Color doesn't mean shit. Gary Edwards and David, well, David, I know Gary Edwards won't get up here and give a public apology, but David, we citizens of this town do believe you are a good person. I think, personally, you're just oppressed by that man that usually sits there, and he keeps you from being a good person. With that said, we would love to see you give a public apology to that individual and maybe give him his job back. Now then, Randy, if David does not get up here and apologize to that man that he knows what happened, I have the video of what happened. I would love to share it with you to show that he's a racist SOB too. Not you, man, but the guy sitting there, usually sits there. I'll show you after the meeting, but I do expect David to give an apology, as he is not an elected official like Mr. Gomez, and we have to wait for you to get out of here, Dominguez, even though you keep failing us and failing us and failing us by working with scumbags. It's time for a change. Luker sitting behind me. I would like to know, sir, Melinda Williams, that lady that y'all had come up here, and she is now testifying that she's scared and terrified of me because y'all coached her. I would like to know how come she committed deadly force and you covered it up, you piece of shit. Blink all you want. What are you going to do about it? Nothing, because you're a scumbag. Anyway, I would like that investigated, Randy, if you can help me out with that. It's on my YouTube where she admits she used deadly force, and that man right there covered it up. That's the same man that won't investigate Officer Mr. Chief Blanchard. He says it's not his fucking job. It is your job, and it's policy, but I guess since policy doesn't matter and charter law doesn't matter, y'all can do whatever the fuck y'all want, right? Amen. Praise baby Jesus, you pieces of shit.
Man, he's fired up, rightfully so. If you've watched what this guy had to put up with over the last year, several months, I've been following him and posting his videos on here. He's went viral on all my platforms, hundreds of thousands of views. I think a few of them went even over 1 million. But I wanted to give all of you an example of there are people standing up. There are people pushing back. You're not going to see them in the mainstream media and everything else, but I really like to highlight these folks because they're putting themselves out there. They won't quit. They get lawsuits thrown at them, and you just can't take it. If evil wins when good people do nothing. And that's why I always say the power of one can lead to the power of many. Before we go on, I want to show this comment. This guy, he trolls a lot of this stuff, so I'm going to make him famous today. Here he is. Keith, welcome to the Grassroots Army podcast. You're famous. Trump, blatantly a racist. So if you support Trump, admit it, you are as well. Folks, what do you think about Mr. Keith Carr in that comment? Obviously, it's hot garbage, Keith, and you know it is. So if Trump is so racist, thank you for commenting on that, Keith, because I'm going to throw you right underneath the bus right now, is I'm going to show you a video of a Black American who is upset with Biden and the Democrats. The Democrats are no longer the old school Democrats. They are a Marxist progressive movement. So, Keith, Here we go. Enjoy, Keith.
Everyday American is struggling to put food on the table. Most people can't pay their fucking rent or light bill. Most people can't afford to buy milk for their cornflakes. They can't afford to put jelly on their peanut butter sandwich. But you have illegal immigrants that can walk across the border and get free housing, free food, free healthcare, free cell phone. In my opinion, this is proof the people you voted for and put in office don't give a fuck about you. They needed your vote. Now they need you to shut the fuck up. Soon, a lot of people are not going to be able to find a job because illegal immigrants equals cheap labor. These corporate companies do not want to pay you. If they can pay someone half of what they pay you from Venezuela, they will sign the fuck up. Illegal immigrants is cheap labor and votes. That's why they letting millions of them cross with no problem. Think about it. We have the strongest military on planet Earth. We spend $800 billion a year on our military. You telling me we couldn't stop this shit and close down the border if we wanted to? They don't want to. They want cheap labor and votes. You need to stop voting for people just because they black. Just because they black, it don't mean they have your back. Once they get your vote, it's fuck you. Do you think they're going to listen to you or Joe Biden? Every day I leave my house, I see more and more homeless people. Homeless women. I see a lot of homeless women now. Just as many homeless women as men. But illegal men that cross the border get somewhere to stay before a homeless American woman. Make that make sense. Be careful who you vote for. They showed you their true colors. Now show them at the voting booth. And one more thing. You know what's fucked up? United States will help a family that crossed the border illegally. But they won't help an American family that's struggling with 4 children. We make it hard for felons to get jobs in America. But illegal immigrants that have criminal records, that's felons, can walk right over to our border and get a job before an American citizen can.
Keith, how do you like them apples, baby? Do you think that guy considers President Trump a racist? I think not. Oh, Keith, guess what? You get my hot garbage comment of the day. Congratulations, Keith. Now go back into your mom's basement and get some meatloaf. There we go. Moving on. Folks, that's what's happened throughout the country. More and more people are awakening. More and more people who voted for this garbage and voted for these garbage, corrupt politicians, they're starting to see the writing on the wall that these folks who they put into office may not have their best interest in mind. And they're starting to stand up. And that's why the Democrats are in full panic mode right now, because more and more folks that are actually used to be Democrats are now leaning over and saying, you know what, we just need to put the right person in the office. And as of right now, we got President Trump leading in the polls, and the Dems are in full panic mode. Again, just like many of us do believe and know, President Biden will not be the nominee. I just can't see that guy in his mental decline on him representing the Democratic Party. They have somebody in the background ready to go for their narrative, whatever they narrative push. So be prepared for that, which I know all of you will. Let's move on to Bill Maher and what he said, that Trump or Hillary never said that Trump was an illegitimate president. So listen to this.
Spent the next 4 years saying he was illegitimate. He was an illegitimate president.
Okay, well, first of all, she didn't say he was an illegitimate.
Yes, she did.
You tell me exactly what she said.
She said those exact words repeatedly.
I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president.
Okay. I mean, she conceded the election. Whether you're interpreting her disappointment at losing it as the same thing as Trump not conceding it, I don't know if that's where you're getting it from. But again, it's a tremendous false equivalency.
Wow. Don't you love those moments when you put it right back into their face and they don't have nothing to say. That's why the truth will set you free. It truly does. And so that's why I like to spend this time is really putting this stuff out here to really bypass the corporate media and their corrupt narrative to really give the people the up-to-date, accurate, and truthful information. That's what we do here at the Grassroots Army, is inspire ordinary folks like you to do extraordinary things, to stand up, to push back. Even when there is an ocean of opposition pushing against you, you have to be that beacon of hope. You have to be that lighthouse for people. You truly do. You all have been put in this moment for a reason. God has put us all here for a reason. You must embrace that challenge. You must embrace that opportunity to follow through and do what's right, because you never know what small act that you may do. I said this time and time again, when you show up and stand up at a school board meeting, a city council, a conversation, doing a video, doing a Facebook Live, I don't care what it is, you never know what small act that you may do that may literally change the lives of millions tomorrow. That is the whole essence of the Grassroots Army. That's what you all have proven to me time and time again. If you remember, this movement started with me throwing a hissy fit video on a Facebook group called Michiganders Against Excessive Quarantine 4 years ago. And look at us now. Never knew in a million years that I would be doing what I'm doing right now. But I think a lot of us can feel that same way. So let's talk about this woman, Becky Pringle, who is in the union. Okay. And she obviously thinks that they need to continue to fund public education like the future of our country depends on it, because it does. So you have these corrupt teacher unions, right? And she's the leader of the teacher union that wants more money, more money, more money. And like many of you, you know, if I knew that my tax-paying dollars were going to the good of the country, the good to make America move forward in a positive direction so we all can live this little idea called the American dream, and our hard-earned tax-paying dollars weren't going over to support wars in Ukraine and Russia and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and line the pocketbooks on BlackRock and State Street and all these corrupt businesses that play both sides of the aisle so they can make billions and billions and billions of dollars, I would be okay knowing that, hey, when I put my tax dollars into the pot, it's going to make children better. It's going to make our children more educated. It's going to give them more opportunities. So let's break down what's truly happening and not just a narrative that a teacher union is pushing. So this is an inflation-adjusted public school spending per student in the United States, okay? This has been adjusted for inflation. So you can see the numbers, folks. We don't have a spending problem in our public schools. They do not have a money problem. Holy cow, it's 164% real increase. And this is adjusted for inflation since 1970. So I want to ask you all this question. Do you feel that these students, compared to the students back in the 70s, 80s, are smarter? No, they're not. Look at our so-called higher institutions. Look at the Harvard, look at the MIT back in the 70s and 80s, and fast forward to the woke garbage that we're seeing today. The students are not as educated. They're dumber, right? Instead of teaching what we need to teach, like countries like China and India do, like math, science, reading, history, right? They focus on cultural ideology. And as you can see in this graph in Michigan, which I pointed out time and time again, and I won't let it up because it's very important people to know that it's not a money problem. It's a teaching problem, because look, this is the K-12 spending adjusted for inflation and student achievement. Obviously, the red is the spending per pupil. And there is our little graph on student achievement in the subject of math and reading. Little bit different, isn't it? Obviously, we do not have a problem with the amount of money that we're putting in the school systems. We have a teacher problem. More importantly, and I'm not throwing all teachers under the bus, because I feel in my heart that the majority of teachers that are teaching, the majority of them are doing it because they love kids, they want to help kids, but they are getting basically controlled by who? The corrupt teachers union. And when it's been found that all this money that we're putting in our public school system lines the pockets of the administration, right? Lines the pocketbooks of these corrupt teacher unions. And the students are suffering because of it. Then again, if that graph was different, where student achievement was blasting off towards the moon, I'd be like, hey, this is great. I'm comfortable with my taxes going toward the public school systems when these students are kicking butt and they're getting jobs all over the world and we're way above everyone else. I'd be like, hey, we have to do it. But it's not the case. That's just me giving you up-to-date, accurate, and truthful information. And that is my job. And I will continue to do just that. So stand up. Don't take it. Don't take it in your local communities. If your townships, if your city commissions, if they're corrupt, your state government, your state rep, you got to stand up. I don't care if it's your gosh darn local HOA. You stand up against the corruption. You stand up against the bullies. And that's what we have done as a movement. And I will continue to stand up and fight against this hot garbage. That is for sure. So keep standing up. Always remember the power of one can lead to the power of many. So God bless you. God bless the state of Michigan. Of course, and always God bless these United States.